Hi, welcome to my third video. So today I am going to talk about triggers. So as I said on my last video, anything can be a trigger for someone with borderline personality disorder. Um, these triggers can seem like normal stuff for others, but to us it can feel like the end of the world. So we have internal triggers, which is like negative self-talk, bottling up our emotions, and then we have external triggers, which is known as like the explosion. So first off, I want to talk about cognitive triggers, so which are basically classified as internal. So basically, a thought comes through our mind. It's usually linked to something that is traumatic. So, for an example, sexual abuse. So, a memory of the sexual abuse, an image of someone experiencing sexual abuse, or even like an awareness project like I'm doing can be a trigger. A good memory can be a trigger, as crazy as it sounds, and the location of the traumatic event. So we all, for especially like it goes hand in hand with like PTSD. It's pretty similar in that sense. So I just have notes, so I'm just gonna move them. So for relationship triggers, so so this doesn't necessarily mean relationship triggers. It can be friendship, coworker, anything. So when we're triggered, when we feel rejected, criticized, attacked, abandoned by our friends, family, partner, coworker, you name it. So examples for uh, relationship triggers is texting and not getting a response. Um, Another, like, or let's say a friend hangs out with someone else and we're not included in that. Um, Last minute change of plans, uh, being ditched, which kind of go hand in hand. Um, Having short answers by someone that means a lot to us. A negative change in mood in the other person. So by that I mean like uh, someone can be cranky and we're automatically going to think it's their fault and we're going to be triggered. And someone rejecting our affection. So let's say you want to hug someone and they're like, no, no, thank you. That is a trigger for us. So to us, all these examples make us feel rejected and unvalidated and unloved. Um, and relationships is the main trigger of all the triggers. So the next step is conflict. So a conflict will make us spiral into our own negative perception. So we will make a conflict inflate way bigger than what it's like meant to be, I guess. So it becomes such a big problem for no reason. That's only if it's not resolved immediately. If it is resolved immediately, it's less of a spiral. So we will blame everything on ourselves because we feel like we are the person at fault, and because we are always at the tip of the iceberg because of our sensitivity to rejection. So we often explode to the point where our loved ones want to leave us. So it just validates our negative perception that we are unlovable and we are hard to love and that everyone wants to leave us. So basically, it it's like, for example, like someone with anxiety, if they don't push themselves to um, basically bring themselves into a panic attack to get over the panic attacks, it's like the same thing for us, if that makes sense. The next one is rejection, which is another big one. So rejection can be interpreted as thoughts or actions that can be small or large. So um, it can be like blatant rejection, where it's like, I don't like you, I don't want to hang out with you, which is a large one, or a small one where it's like not replying to a text because the other person was busy, right? So rejection will most likely make us spiral into a vicious cycle of self-loathing. When we experience rejection, we evaluate every relationship in our life. So we question if everyone else is going to leave us at the same time. We believe that the rejection is caused by your flaws and qualities, which ruins our relationships. So, for example, of rejection, it could be like a simple disagreement, such as rejecting a person's ideas or beliefs. So, to us, that makes us feel invalidated and rejected. It's as well as being a deliberate form of rejection, such as saying no to an event or a request. So the next one is physical intimacy. So people with borderline personality disorder have a very tough time showing their vulnerable sides. We believe that if we show vulnerability, the other person will see us as weak because vulnerability is seen as a weak trait, and that goes for everyone, right? No one wants to show their vulnerability unless they're comfortable with their self and their self-identity. So physical intimacy can be a trigger also because both parties need to be consensually vulnerable, right? Because if you think of it, like, depending on the physical intimacy, like, let's say sex, for example, like, you both need to be consensually naked, which is being vulnerable. So examples of triggers for physical intimacy, so it can be the inability to climax for both parties or either one. And it can give us the feeling that we are inadequate for our partner and for love, and therefore we're unworthy of our partner. So being fully exposed is another way in which physical intimacy can trigger our fear of abandonment. We don't want to show all of us, we don't want to show our vulnerability to a person, just so that there is no possibility for them to leave us for that reason specifically. So, yeah. The next one is ending a relationship / friendship. So, we have a tendency to become attached really quick, and we have we have a very fast infatuation in other people. So we don't necessarily always show it. We can be obsessed with a person and we're attached to them. We always want to be around them, but we wouldn't show it. We will do and say anything to make a person fall in love with us. It's not necessarily false statements or manipulation, but it can be exaggerated ones, usually. So, an example for that would be like, oh, I've never met a person as great as you. You make me feel like on top of the world, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. So if someone leaves us, once again, we will blame ourselves and we will enter our vicious self-hating cycle. After continuous abandonments, we believe that no one will ever stay in our life because we are unworthy of love. And it's kind of like the example I said about anxiety. If you don't, like, if someone continuously avoids their anxious or anxiety triggers, they're never going to get better. And it's the same for this. If we keep getting abandoned, if we keep being rejected, if we keep being criticized, we basically validate our own self-hating patterns that we are not worthy of love. So the next one is being fired. So our fear of abandonment is not always linked to relationships or anything in that area. It can be something like work. So our it's not just related to relationships and friendships. It's also related to every aspect of our life. So very much so, anything like triggers, it can be anything, but it's different for everyone, right? So some here affect me more than others, especially relationships and like being fired too. Like I've grown, I guess, accustomed to rejection, and it doesn't bother me as much as it did before. Like I don't expect everyone to love me, and some do, right? So back to being fired. We have a very hard time at keeping jobs because we do have a lot of difficulty in social situations. We have a very hard time getting friends and keeping friends and being open to other people because of our trust issues. We also have a hard time keeping jobs because of our mood swings. We can explode sometimes because we're overwhelmed, right? And we also have a hard time keeping jobs because of our need to be accepted. So these are just, the baseline of triggers. This is like the most common ones, right? So you can be triggered by different things than I am triggered by different things. It's all different for everyone, and there's different levels of intensity for everyone. So that is all I have to say for this video. I will be posting another one shortly, so stay tuned and please like and subscribe. Thank you.